Okay, imagine this. I'm standing there in my wedding dress, heart pounding, about to walk down the aisle to marry the man of my dreams. The music starts, the doors open, and just as I take my first step, a shrill, piercing scream rips through the air, followed by a sickening thud. All eyes snap to the back, and there she is, my ex, sprawled on the floor, seemingly unconscious, right in the middle of the aisle. My perfect day utterly derailed, because she decided to stage a dramatic collapse. Was I wrong for what I did next? For serving up a dish of revenge so cold it practically gave her frostbite? Tell me, would you have done the same thing? Let me take you back, way back, to understand just how we got to that moment. My relationship with Liam, the man I was about to marry, was everything I had ever dreamed of. We met in college, a whirlwind romance that quickly blossomed into something deeply profound and stable. He was my rock, my best friend, and the person who made me believe in true partnership. But before Liam, there was Mark. Mark and I had dated for about 3 years in high school and the first year of college. It was intense, passionate, and in hindsight, incredibly toxic. Mark was charming, incredibly charismatic, but beneath that veneer was a deeply insecure and manipulative individual. He thrived on drama, on being the center of attention, and on controlling those around him. Our breakup was messy, to say the least. I finally gathered the courage to end things when I realized I was constantly walking on eggshells, sacrificing my own happiness and identity to appease his endless demands. He didn't take it well. There were weeks of incessant calls, texts, and even showing up at my dorm, begging and pleading, then swiftly transitioning to accusations and veiled threats. It was exhausting, terrifying even. Eventually, I had to block him on everything and change my routine to avoid him. I thought finally I was free. Years passed. I moved on, met Liam, and slowly, painstakingly rebuilt my sense of self-worth. Mark, on the other hand, seemed to linger in the periphery of mutual friends, a ghost of a past I desperately wanted to forget. I heard whispers of his various exploits, failed relationships, job hopping, a general inability to find stable ground. Part of me felt a twinge of pity, but mostly I felt a profound relief that I was no longer entangled in his chaos. When Liam proposed, it was magical. He got down on one knee on a remote beach at sunset, the waves crashing gently in the background. It was everything a girl could wish for, a true fairy tale moment. We immediately started planning our wedding. We envisioned a relatively intimate affair, about 150 guests in a beautiful botanical garden. Everything was meticulously planned, from the flowers to the catering, the band, the guest list. We wanted a day that reflected our love, surrounded by our closest family and friends. We were so careful with the guest list, wanting to make sure everyone there genuinely supported us. We made a conscious effort not to invite anyone who might bring negativity, which meant, of course, Mark was nowhere near that list. I hadn't seen or heard from him in years, and I honestly believed he was ancient history. Oh, how naive I was. The first sign of trouble came subtly. A few weeks before the wedding, I started getting strange, anonymous messages on social media. They weren't overtly threatening, more like cryptic warnings. He's not who you think he is. You're making a huge mistake. Some people never change. I brushed them off as trolls or perhaps a jealous acquaintance. Then a week out, a small personalized gift arrived at my apartment. It was a framed photo of Mark and me from college, a picture I hadn't seen in years, taken during happier times. It was accompanied by a handwritten note, not signed, but the handwriting was unmistakably his. It said, "You belong with me. This wedding won't happen." My blood ran cold. I immediately showed it to Liam. He was furious, insisting we call the police, but I hesitated. I didn't want to escalate things to give Mark the attention he so desperately craved. I just wanted him to disappear. We decided to enhance security at the venue, hiring an off-duty officer, and told our close friends and family to be vigilant. I tried to convince myself it was an empty threat, a final desperate plea for attention. The day before the wedding, I was a bundle of nerves and excitement. My bridesmaids and I had a relaxed day, getting pampered, having a lovely dinner. I felt a sense of peace, a certainty that tomorrow would be perfect. That night, I slept surprisingly well, dreaming of walking towards Liam. The morning of the wedding was a blur of hair, makeup, laughter, and a few happy tears. My dress was everything I had ever imagined, a delicate lace gown with a long train. My mother helped me into it, her eyes sparkling with pride. I felt like a princess. The venue was stunning, bathed in the soft glow of the late afternoon sun. Guests started arriving, and the air buzzed with anticipation. I watched from a hidden window as Liam stood at the altar, looking incredibly handsome, a nervous but joyful smile on his face. Everything was perfect. The flower girl and ring bearer made their adorable entrance. My maid of honor started her slow walk down the aisle. Then it was my turn. I took a deep breath, clutching my father's arm, and the doors opened. The music swelled, a string quartet playing a beautiful rendition of Canon in D. I saw Liam, his eyes locking with mine, and for a moment, the world melted away. It was just us, and then the scream, the thud, the collective gasp from the guests. My heart plummeted. I knew with a terrible gut-wrenching certainty who it was. Mark. There he was, or rather there she was. My ex, Sarah. I forgot to mention Sarah. Sarah was Mark's rebound after me, a girl he dated for about 6 months who always harbored a strange, intense jealousy towards me, even though I had nothing to do with their eventual breakup. When I said ex, I meant Mark. But seeing Sarah there theatrically collapsed in the aisle, it all clicked. This wasn't just Mark. This was a coordinated effort. She was acting badly, I might add. Her legs were bent at an unnatural angle, her eyes peeking open for a split second, clearly checking for reactions. The sheer audacity of it, the absolute disregard for my special day, ignited a fire in me I hadn't known I possessed. My father, bless his heart, started to guide me forward, trying to ignore the spectacle, but it was impossible. My carefully constructed dream was crumbling before my eyes. The officiant looked flustered. The guests were murmuring, some rushing to Sarah's side, genuinely concerned. Liam looked utterly bewildered, his eyes darting from me to the scene unfolding behind me. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, about to marry the love of my life, and my ex's delusional, dramatic accomplice was lying in the aisle, effectively holding my wedding hostage. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let her ruin your day? Would you have tried to get her removed quietly? Or would you have gone full scorched earth? I looked at Liam, his face a mixture of confusion and anger, then back at the pathetic display in the aisle. A cold, hard resolve settled over me. This was my day, and no amount of pathetic dramatics was going to take that away from me. Not from us. I squeezed my father's arm and whispered, "Dad, don't worry. I've got this." I took a deep breath and then, with a strength I didn't know I possessed, I let go of my father's arm and walked, not down the aisle towards Liam, but towards Sarah. The murmurs intensified. Some guests looked shocked, others intrigued. I could hear my maid of honor gasp. As I approached Sarah, who was now being gently prodded by a few well-meaning but confused guests, I noticed a small, sly smirk flicker across her face as she thought she had won. Her eyes were still mostly closed, but that smirk gave her away. I stopped directly over her, my shadow falling across her face. The entire venue went silent. You could hear a pin drop. I bent down just slightly, my voice clear and cutting, carrying through the stunned silence. "Sarah," I said, "I'm not sure what kind of performance you think you're putting on, but my wedding is not your stage. And darling, that dress looks absolutely dreadful on you. It's so last season, and frankly it screams desperate." Her eyes snapped open wide with genuine shock, the smirk completely vanished. The color drained from her face. She scrambled to sit up, her planned fainting spell completely forgotten. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, trying to regain some semblance of dignity. I straightened up, my voice gaining strength. "Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You and Mark, pulling this pathetic stunt to try and ruin our day. It's childish, it's pathetic, and it's not going to work." I paused, letting my words sink in, scanning the faces of the guests. "You see," I continued, addressing the entire room, "some people just can't move on. Some people cling to the past, try to sabotage others' happiness, all because they can't create their own." I looked directly at Sarah, who was now bright red, fumbling with her purse. But unlike some people, Liam and I are moving forward. We're building a beautiful future, and we won't let anyone, especially not two bitter, washed-up exes, stand in our way. Then, the ultimate stroke of genius hit me. I looked at the off-duty officer we had hired, who was standing near the back, looking unsure of what to do. I caught his eye and gave a subtle nod. He understood. He had been briefed about Mark, but not Sarah. "Officer," I called out, my voice resonating with authority. "It seems we have an uninvited guest causing a disturbance. I believe she may be connected to a previous harassment attempt." The officer immediately moved towards Sarah. Before he could reach her, I leaned down again, even closer this time, and whispered just loud enough for a few people around us to hear. "And Sarah, tell Mark that he should probably check his bank accounts." I straightened up, a triumphant smile slowly spreading across my face. Sarah's eyes widened in horror. She knew what I was talking about. You see, I had done some digging. Weeks before, after I received that threatening note, I had contacted an old friend who worked in cybersecurity. I provided him with all the details of Mark's online behavior, his past threats, and this friend, being the brilliant and slightly mischievous hacker he was, found something incredible. Mark, in his infinite arrogance, had kept a meticulously organized folder of all his questionable financial dealings, tax evasion, a few illicit side hustles, even a small but definite case of embezzlement from a former employer, all on a poorly secured cloud server. My friend, with my full permission, had anonymously tipped off the authorities, sending them just enough breadcrumbs to launch a full investigation. It was a time bomb, set to detonate around the time of the wedding. My whispered threat to Sarah wasn't a threat at all. It was a warning that the wheels of justice were already in motion. Sarah, realizing her elaborate plan had not only failed but had backfired spectacularly, completely lost her composure. She bolted. She pushed past the confused guests, her ridiculous dress flapping, and ran out of the venue, presumably to warn Mark. The officer, after a moment of stunned silence, chuckled and then chased after her, not to arrest her, but to ensure she actually left the premises. The entire scene had played out in less than 5 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. A stunned silence hung in the air, broken only by a few nervous coughs. Then a slow ripple of applause started at the back, growing louder and louder, until the entire room erupted in cheers. Liam, my beautiful fiancé, was beaming, his eyes filled with adoration and a hint of mischievous pride. My father, wiping a tear from his eye, looked at me with a smile that conveyed a lifetime of love and admiration. He straightened my veil, took my arm again, and then, with newfound determination, we started our walk down the aisle. The string quartet, who had stopped playing during the commotion, picked up where they left off, their music sounding even sweeter, more triumphant. I walked towards Liam, my head held high, my heart soaring. The dramatic entrance had been made, just not by me. The rest of the wedding day was pure bliss. The incident faded into a bizarre, hilarious anecdote that we would tell for years to come. Guests came up to me throughout the night, congratulating me not just on my marriage, but on my incredible handling of the situation. Some even called it legendary. The revenge was swift, public, and perfectly executed. As for Mark and Sarah, the aftermath was just as satisfying. The anonymous tip about Mark's financial dealings did indeed lead to a full investigation. He was eventually charged with several counts of financial misconduct. I heard through the grapevine that Sarah, after being briefly detained by the officer and then released, was completely cut off by Mark when he realized the extent of my tip. Their alliance dissolved in a bitter public argument, proving that their bond was as flimsy as their attempt to ruin my wedding. Mark ended up losing his job, his reputation, and facing significant legal battles. It was the kind of ultimate karma-fueled justice that you only read about in stories. My wedding day, instead of being ruined, became an unforgettable testament to my strength and Liam's unwavering support. It taught me that sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and that protecting your peace and happiness is paramount. So, that's my story. It was a wild ride, and certainly not the traditional wedding entrance I had envisioned, but in the end it was perfect. It solidified my relationship with Liam even further, proving that we could face anything together. If you were on my side dealing with that kind of crazy ex, make sure to like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this, because trust me, my life has no shortage of drama, and please share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you would have done. I'll see you all in the next story.